Hey, Saints fans, Brendan Boylan here with Bob Rose, Saints News Network. Very disappointing first half for the New Orleans Saints, almost the polar opposite of what we saw last week, Bob. The Panthers controlling time of possession, the Saints not able to do a whole lot offensively, and we knew it was going to be a struggle. Obviously, a lot of adversity for the New Orleans Saints for the second consecutive week, missing 8 assistant coaches, missing a handful of starters on the defensive side of the ball. But so far, Bob, the Saints really haven't shown any signs of life on either side of the football.
No, you're right. I think I should have taken a nap in the first half, folks, because the New Orleans Saints sure as hell did. And listen, I realize the laundry list of injuries and the absences by the assistant coaches and all the challenges that this team has faced. But these are players that experienced players that are getting beat at the point of attack, beat out of position. And there's just no excuse for that kind of thing. The New Orleans is getting absolutely whipped on both lines of scrimmages. Zach Bond is playing a horrendous game. The offensive line for the Saints are playing horrendously, as are the defensive tackles for the Saints. Kudos to Demario Davis, who has played one whale of a first half. Jameis Winston is absolutely under siege. And we saw that mistake he made towards the end of the first half. You can't really blame him. He was under heavy pressure and trying to make a play. He really was left with no choice. But outside of Demario Davis, and Cam Jordan has played a really solid first half too. The Saints have just played absolutely abysmal football.
Well, the Saints without a handful of starters, as we mentioned, if you guys aren't able to get the game in your area and you're just trying to keep up through an app or through us and our work here at Saints News Network, the Saints in this game without C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's turned into one of the best slot corners in the entire league. They're without Marshawn Lattimore, who they just paid a massive contract to, up to a $100 million contract he agreed to right before kickoff, apparently, for week 1 against the Packers. He's out. He had surgery, but he's expected to come back sometime next week. Also without Passanio on the defensive line, Davenport gets put on IR, Quan Alexander gets put on IR. So the Saints, a lot of shuffling around on the defense. But let's jump into some of these stats, Bob. You said Jameis Winston been under fire all game. Remember, he was not sacked one time in the week 1 victory. He was sacked twice in the first half. You referenced the interception. The Saints have only given the ball to Kamara twice on the ground, 2 carries for 4 yards for Alvin Kamara, and Kamara, not even the Saints' leading receiver, Lil Jordan Humphrey, that one catch on the drive prior to the Winston interception, 27 yards. Offensively, the Saints haven't done a whole lot. Malcolm Jenkins and Demario Davis tied for the Saints leaders in tackles, 6 apiece. And as I referenced, that very key stat, time of possession, almost 21-9 in favor of the Panthers. The Saints will get the ball to start the second half. Bob, let's put the first half behind us. What do the Saints need to do in the second half to kind of turn this around?
First of all, they have to get points on the board immediately out of this drive, even if it's just a field goal. If the defense wakes up, they can get back into this game very easily. But New Orleans absolutely positively needs something out of this first drive. They need to maintain a little bit of possession. And like I said, put points on the scoreboard, even if it's just a field goal. They need to get Kamara more involved. I don't care if it's as a receiver or a rusher, because that's going to open stuff up for Callaway. Deontay Harris has been open a couple times, and he had one big reception. Deontay, by the way, is having one heck of a game as a kickoff returner too. But Jameis Winston, they have to give him that extra second, for him to see the receivers breaking open downfield. It's hard to criticize the receiving corps for not getting separation, because Winston hasn't had time to let them get separation. So the offensive line needs to step up, establish control of the line of scrimmage, because Carolina is coming after that pass pocket very heavily. Winston does need to get the ball out of his hands a little bit more decisively as well. But I'm not going to put that first half on Winston. It's on the offensive line.
Well, you also look at what the Panthers have defensively, right? Reddick, who has been amongst the lead leaders over the last 2 seasons at getting to the pass rusher. I think Burns is one of the best young defensive ends in football. And then they have a really good linebacking group. And I mentioned that in the pregame because still to this day, there's a ton of fans that associate the Panthers and that defense with Luke Kuechly. And man, he retired a little too early if you're a Panthers fan, right? But at the end of the day, they still have a really solid group on the defensive side. I highlighted Shaq Thompson. What have you seen out of that group for the Panthers that has given the Saints problems?
Again, they're just very aggressively coming after the New Orleans defensive backfield. They have decided, or offensive backfield, excuse me. They have decided that they're not going to let Kamara get off at the point of attack, and that they want to pressure Jameis Winston rather than sit back and trying to read him. So the Saints have to make their adjustments accordingly in their blocking schemes, which of course is going to be difficult to make in-game adjustments because of the COVID absences by most of the assistant coaches for the Saints. That's where I thought they might run into trouble today, and so far they have not been able to make adjustments on the fly. They have the halftime to do that, so hopefully they're able to come out strong.
We talked about just some of those halftime adjustments defensively when you are playing a rookie corner and a corner that's only been with the team for about a week. Is there anything that the Saints can do to try to make their job a little bit easier outside of getting pressure on Sam Darnold, who had his second consecutive great first half for the Panthers?
That's what it is. You need to get pressure on Darnold first and foremost. I don't think that either Bradley Roby or Paulson Adebo has played that badly. Adebo got beat for two times where it really jumped off the screen to me. Unfortunately, the second of those two times was the slant pattern to DJ Moore. But Adebo is going to continue to be heavily targeted with or without Lattimore in the lineup. And we're going to have ups and downs from the rookie. I don't think he played that badly in the first half, but like you said, you need to support a rookie cornerback and a guy who's only been with the team, and Bradley Roby, a guy that's only been with the team a handful of days. And to do that, you need the pressure up front. Cam's getting it, but the rest of the defensive line has to get some interior push in the pass pocket, and you need something from Peyton Turner or Carl Granderson on the other side.
Down 17 at the half. We talked about Jameis Winston, that big mistake at the end, but prior to that, efficient, 8 of 9 before that final drive, just unable to move the chains. What would you like to see the Saints do a little bit differently? Personally, for myself, you don't hit the panic button, but only 2 carries for Kamara thus far, none for Tony Jones Jr. Do you think it starts by some of that offensive balance?
Yeah, absolutely I do. And again, as you and I have both said it, I don't know even now how many times in the last few minutes, it starts with the offensive line, because you can't run the ball if you can't control the line of scrimmage. I would expect the first play out of the locker room to be a handoff to Kamara. Or if the Panthers are going to continue crowding the box, maybe a play action and you have to take a quick shot down the field. With either way, the offensive line either has to give Winston the time to let a deep pattern develop, or open up the holes up front for Kamara to get that key first down yardage from the line of scrimmage, because the Saints have faced every single third down has been a third down in over 10 or 12 yards.
Well, less about the Saints' disappointments, more about what the Panthers were doing well. What has Sam Darnold showed you? I said this is his second consecutive really good first half in his first year with the Carolina Panthers. What is Darnold doing so well that he didn't do with the New York Jets?
Well, first of all, Darnold has a lot more playmakers around him in Carolina than he ever had with New York. And that's the key with a young quarterback, is get the ball in your hands of your playmakers quickly and decisively. And Sam did that against the Jets last week, and he's doing it so far against the Saints this afternoon, especially DJ Moore. And of course, they're going to rely on Christian McCaffrey. But DJ is one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL. I would love him if he wasn't in a Carolina Panthers uniform. And you have Robbie Anderson and Terrace Marshall too. And by the way, flipping Dan Arnold has mutated since his Saints days. And Darnold is noticing Dan Arnold getting open very quickly and getting the ball out of his hands quickly too, before the Saints pressure is able to get to him.
Well, guys, we'll give you a second. Give any questions in. Keith asks, is our offensive line coach out with COVID? Yes, actually, Zach Strief, the assistant offensive line coach, is the guy in charge. A lot of people know him for his time with the New Orleans Saints as a right tackle. And, of course, the voice of the Saints for a few years. Bond is killing us. That comes from JR. Bond had a really good camp. That's something I talked about on the pregame show. I thought this was a great opportunity for him to show, but there are going to be some bumps in the road when you make the transition from an edge rusher to, a will linebacker, and we're seeing that of Bond today. All our key players are out. Yeah, there's a lot of key players out today, but at the end of the day, I don't think there's any excuses. This is a team that's faced a lot of adversity early on in the season, and they responded to that adversity week one. They still have a second half to respond to that adversity here in week two. Any parting thoughts, Bob?
Hey, look, I caution that this kind of thing might happen in an interview actually with Jordy Hultberg earlier this week. In the first 54 years of New Orleans Saints football, they only started 2-0 8 times, and 4 of those were under the 15 years with Sean Payton. So that means in 11 years with Sean Payton and 46 times overall, the Saints have either started 1-1 or 0-2. This team obviously is not. I'm not pressing the panic button, and they aren't pressing the panic button either. But they need to come out decisively in the second half to stay in this football game.
All right, Bob, where can they follow you on the World Wide Web?
Can be followed on Facebook, Bob Rose, or Twitter at BobbyR2613, and obviously follow myself and all of our great writers at the Saints News Network, SI.com, or at Saints News on Twitter.
All right, for me, Brendan Boylan, you can follow me on Twitter at BT Boylan, BTBOYLAN. All of our work at the Saints News Network. We will have plenty for you at the conclusion of this game. Just head to SI.com/NFL/Saints. Hopefully, we're in for a better second half from the New Orleans Saints. And we'll see you next time here on the Saints News Network pre- and halftime shows.